Honestly, the best gift my dad could give me is to disappear from my life. The laughter that followed hit me harder than the words. Not just hers, Emily's, but the whole damn room. Drunken, easy, loud. I stood frozen at the edge of the hallway, the chocolate cake sweating in my hands, the silver locket resting beside it in a small envelope, waiting to be handed over. It was her 28th birthday. I'd spent the whole afternoon making sure the frosting set just right. I hadn't even walked in yet. I was behind the doorway, unseen, listening. I wish I could tell you that she was joking. That she didn't mean it. But her tone wasn't bitter, it was bored. Like she'd said it a dozen times before and everyone there had learned to laugh on cue. Preach, one of her friends said, clinking glasses. I didn't move. I couldn't. 28 years of being a father, of doing the work, of standing by her side even when her mother left, all boiled down to a punchline at a party I baked the cake for. There's no rage in moments like that. No cinematic meltdown. Just a slow, leaden silence that starts in your stomach and spreads out, limb by limb, until you feel like your skin doesn't fit right. I backed away from the doorway, one step at a time, like I was leaving a crime scene I hadn't realized I'd walked into. In the kitchen, I set the cake down on the counter. It looked too clean, too careful, pink rose in the center, piped letters reading Happy Birthday M. The locket was tucked neatly in its velvet box, something her grandmother had worn in the 1960s, polished earlier that day by the same hands that had once buttoned Emily's school uniform when she was too sleepy to do it herself. I'd written a note. For the girl who made being a dad worth it. That was inside the box. I stared at it for a long time, and I knew I wasn't giving it to her. I leaned on the counter, eyes fixed on nothing. My coffee sat cold by the sink. The refrigerator hummed. From the living room, music swelled again, the kind that sounds expensive but says nothing. I thought about all the times I tried to fix things. When she turned 16 and I screwed up her birthday by getting the wrong concert tickets, I drove 3 hours the next night to get her into the right one. When she dropped out of college and said she needed space, I paid her rent anyway. When she came back around last year and asked if she could move in, just for a few weeks, I cleared the guest room, cooked dinner, and said yes without blinking. But this? This was different. I opened the locket box one more time. The chain glinted in the overhead light, delicate but strong. I remember my mother wearing it every Sunday, sitting beside me in church while I counted ceiling tiles. I closed the box and put it away. I didn't knock on her door. Didn't say goodbye. I just went to my bedroom and shut the door behind me. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't even breaking. It was quiet, like a room that had finally emptied. I sat on the edge of the bed and let the noise of the party wash over me like a wave I had no interest in fighting anymore. She didn't need me there. Not for cake. Not for gifts. Not for anything. About an hour later, I heard her in the hallway. Drunk. Loud. Are you really hiding in there? She shouted. You gonna ghost me on my birthday, you coward? I said nothing. A bottle hit the wall. Glass exploded into the silence. I heard a neighbor's door creak open, then slam shut again. Someone muttered her name, Emily, come on, but no one stopped her. The cops came around midnight. Someone called them, maybe a neighbor. Disorderly conduct. Noise complaint. Take your pick. They cuffed her in the hall while she screamed about being set up. I watched from the cracked door, didn't say a word. When one officer asked if I wanted to press charges, I shook my head. No, I said. She's just had too much to drink. They asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. They left. She didn't. The silence after was sharp. I walked the apartment in slow circles, past framed photos of a girl who used to hold my hand in parking lots and call me her best friend. I stopped at one, her first ballet recital. She couldn't have been more than 6, mid-pirouette, face lit up with joy. I took the photo down and set it face down in the drawer. Then I made a list. Cancel her phone line. Remove her name from the joint account. Call the realtor in the morning. Leave before she's out. I wasn't angry. I was done. And for the first time in 28 years, that felt like freedom. The living room smelled like stale wine and perfume. Music still pumped low from the Bluetooth speaker on the side table, some moody synth-pop thing Emily always played when she wanted to feel glamorous. I stepped into the room, slow and deliberate, holding nothing but my presence. The party wasn't over, not yet. A few of her friends were still there, half sprawled on the couch and floor, red cups dangling from limp hands, the kind of exhaustion that comes not from too much activity but from too much pretending. Someone had spilled something sticky near the bookshelf. No one had cleaned it. Emily stood in the middle of it all like a queen in exile. Her makeup was smudged, mascara trailing at the corner of one eye. A wineglass dangled from her fingers. She didn't see me at first. Or maybe she did and just didn't register it. "Emily," I said. She turned. The smirk was already forming before she even knew why I was there. "Back from your pity party," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I didn't answer. Just took 2 more steps into the room and let the silence spread. One of her friends, the one with the blonde bob who always called me Mr. C, stood up slowly and tried to slide her shoes on without drawing attention. "Hey," I said to her, not unkindly, "you might want to stick around." That froze everyone. Emily narrowed her eyes. "What the hell is this?" "I just want to ask you one thing," I said. "What you said earlier, about me disappearing. Did you mean it?" The air went still. Even the Bluetooth speaker chose that moment to hit a pause between songs. Emily blinked. "What?" "In the kitchen. You said the best gift I could give you is to disappear from your life. I heard you say it. Did you mean it?" I asked it the same way I might ask what time it was. No heat. No shake in my voice. That's what made her falter. But not for long. She laughed. Shrill, brittle. "Oh my God. You're seriously doing this now? In front of my friends?" "Yeah," I said. "Now. Right now. Because they were all here when you said it." Her face tightened. But then she rolled her shoulders back, like she was slipping into a roll. "You suffocate me, Dad," she said, loud enough for every single one of them to hear. "You always have. You can't go a week without trying to control something. My job. My rent. Who I date. When I come home. You call it love, but it's not, it's you needing to feel important. I don't need that. I don't need you." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was electric. Her friends didn't shift nervously or look away. They watched her like she was doing something brave. One of them even nodded, like, "Yes, girl, speak your truth." That was the moment something inside me clicked. Not broke. Just shifted. I nodded once. Slowly. "All right," I said. "Be careful what you wish for." I didn't storm out. I didn't slam doors. I just turned around and walked. Left the room, walked past the photo wall I built with her senior portraits, past the piano I paid to refurbish when she said she wanted to learn again, past the front door I had installed when she asked if we could make the place feel more grown-up. And just like that, I was outside. The night air hit my lungs like truth. I stood on the porch for a minute. Just long enough to hear the music start again, louder this time, like the room wanted to erase my presence with bass. Then I went back inside, but not to the party. I went to my room. And I started packing. Not in a panic. Not with tears. With precision. 3 drawers worth of clothes into a single suitcase. The locket, back in its box. My shaving kit. My laptop. A few photos from the hallway, just the ones that mattered to me. I didn't even need to think about what to take. I already knew. In the living room, someone cranked the volume. Laughter spilled down the hall. They were doing shots now, I think. Emily had already rewritten the story in her head. Probably telling them I was dramatic. Controlling. That I always pull stunts like this when I don't get my way. Let her. I knew who I was. And after tonight, I knew who she was too. I left the suitcase by the door and sat down at the kitchen table with a yellow notepad. The same one I used for grocery lists and repair quotes. I wrote 3 lines. Cancel her line. Close the joint account. Call the realtor Monday. Then I took the note and folded it into my wallet like a map. When I finished, I opened the fridge, poured myself the last of the orange juice, and stood at the window. Outside, the world kept turning. The neighbor's porch light flickered. Someone's dog barked once, then stopped. And I just stood there. Not angry. Just done. She came back drunk. Not tipsy. Not wine laugh soft. Drunk. It was just past midnight. I'd been sitting in the dark of my room for nearly 2 hours, fully dressed, suitcase packed, phone turned off. The apartment was quiet, the kind of stillness that feels earned after a long night. But all that shattered the second the door slammed. "Dad," she shouted from the front hall like a dare. Her voice bounced off the walls, sharp and wet. "You gonna keep sulking in your cave all night?" I didn't move. I didn't answer. Her footsteps stumbled toward the hallway, unsteady, off rhythm. I heard something clatter. A shoe, maybe. "You really hiding right now?" she called, closer now. "Big man can't take a little honesty." I waited, still on the edge of my bed. Not angry. Not sad. Just numb. Like my blood had been replaced with ash. Then the banging started. Fist against the door. 3 sharp hits. "Come on, Dad. You can't seriously still be mad about earlier." I was just joking, okay? It was a fucking joke. I stood and walked to the door, but I didn't open it. I pressed my hand flat against the wood and spoke softly. "Go sleep it off, Emily." Silence. Then laughter. Drunken, hollow. "Wow. You're really gonna do this, huh? You're gonna ghost me in my own place? You mean the place I pay for?" I asked, still calm. "Oh my God, here we go," she slurred. The martyr speech. "Do you want a fucking medal for being my dad? Newsflash, you chose to have me. That wasn't my decision." A bottle hit the wall. Glass exploded. I flinched, not because I was scared, but because I wasn't surprised. Somewhere deep down, I'd always known this moment would come. I just thought I'd be stronger when it did. I heard the neighbors then. Voices through the drywall. Doors opening. One guy shouted, "Hey! Quiet the hell down." Another mumbled something about calling the cops. I stepped away from the door. Emily kicked it once, hard. "You're a coward," she said. "You always do this. You disappear when it matters. You go quiet. You think you're punishing me? You're just pathetic." I heard her slump against the wall. A full minute passed. Then blue and red light flashed through the curtain. The knock came again. This time, from law enforcement. "Sir," a voice called. "Police. Can you open the door?" I cracked it open. 2 officers. Young. Alert. One already had a notepad out. Behind them, Emily sat on the floor of the hallway, legs sprawled, makeup smeared. One of her shoes was off. Her lipstick was on her teeth. "We got 2 noise complaints," one officer said. "Your daughter's been disturbing the peace." "She's drunk," I said. "And loud. And broke a bottle against the wall." They both nodded. The other officer glanced down the hall. "Sir, do you want to press charges?" I shook my head. "No. Just get her out of here for the night." Emily looked up then. Her eyes caught mine. And for a second, just a second, I thought I saw the little girl she used to be. The one who begged me for bedtime stories. Who cried when I missed her ballet recital and made me promise I'd never miss another. But that second passed. "Don't let them take me," she mumbled. "Tell them. I'm your daughter." "You are," I said. "But tonight, that doesn't matter." They cuffed her gently. Didn't force her. Just guided her to her feet like a child who refused to walk. She didn't fight. Didn't scream. Just kept saying, "This is so stupid," like a chant. She glanced over her shoulder as they led her down the hall. One last look. I didn't meet her eyes. The door shut behind them. The silence was loud. I walked to the kitchen, turned on one light. It flickered, then steadied. The cake was still on the counter. The locket box beside it, unopened. I stared at it for a long time. Then I walked to the table, pulled out the yellow notepad, and wrote. Cancel her phone line. Close the joint account. Call the realtor Monday. 3 lines. That's all it took to end 28 years of giving everything. I folded the note and tucked it into my wallet. I wasn't done because I was broken. I was done because I finally understood that love, when abused long enough, rots into obligation. And I wasn't going to rot with it. I packed what little was left, my shaving kit, laptop, a few books, photos, and clothes. I didn't touch the guest room. Didn't need to. Everything I cared about could fit in one suitcase. By 2 a.m. I was dressed, packed, and sitting on the couch. I left the cake. I left the locket. And beside them, I left a note that said, "You said the best gift was for me to disappear. I'm granting that wish." And then I walked out. No slamming doors. No goodbye. Just the soft click of a deadbolt. I didn't sleep that night. I drove for hours. Just kept the wheel steady and the headlights pointed toward nowhere in particular. Some roads were familiar, back routes I used to take when Emily was young and cried too much for sleep, when the only thing that calmed her was the rhythm of tires on asphalt and the sound of my voice humming along with the radio. But this drive wasn't for her. It was for me. The silence felt clean. By dawn, I'd found a cheap motel off Route 41. The kind with flickering signs and soap bars the size of matchbooks. The front desk clerk didn't ask questions. I didn't offer any. Paid cash, didn't even bother with the breakfast voucher. I just wanted a room with a door that locked and curtains that shut out the world. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, staring at the yellow notepad I'd taken from the kitchen. The list was still there. Cancel her line. Close the joint account. Call the realtor Monday. I read it over and over like scripture. It felt like clarity. There was no anger left. No heartbreak. Just a simple, bone-deep understanding that I was done being the net she could fall into without ever watching where she jumped. Emily used to beg me to let her take risks. "You never let me fail," she'd say, when I told her she shouldn't drain her savings to go to Bali with a man she'd known 3 months. "You're always waiting for me to screw up." She was wrong. I never waited. I just cleaned up after. But not anymore. At 8:03 a.m., I called the phone company and shut off her number. The woman on the line was polite, chirpy even, until she asked, "Is there a reason for canceling today?" I said, "She won't be needing it." By 8:30, I was logged into the bank's website, removing my name from everything she still had access to. She had a savings account I started when she was 11. I closed it. The checking account we shared, mostly so she could Venmo the rent, gone. I left her $20 in it, enough to show it still existed. But not enough to help. At 9:15, I called the realtor. A man named Miguel, who'd helped me lease out the place 2 years ago when I thought I'd be moving in with a woman named Teresa. That didn't last. But Miguel had always been efficient. "I need to sell the apartment," I said. "You ready this time?" "More than ready." He asked if I wanted to do a walkthrough before listing. I told him no. "List it as is," I said. "She can deal with the mess." Miguel whistled. "She? You'll find out." By noon, the paperwork had hit my inbox. I signed it in the motel lobby, using one of those chained pens people always yank too far. Scanned and sent. That was it. Everything she thought she controlled was gone in a matter of hours. I stood outside the motel afterward, sipping bitter coffee from a styrofoam cup, watching the wind bend the top of the trees. I used to believe that endings had to come with some great release, yelling, crying, door-slamming drama. But sometimes they arrive like a light switch. 1 second you're in it, the next you're not. You just wake up, pick up the pieces, and stop giving them back. I still had the locket. Still had the note I'd written for her birthday. For the girl who made being a dad worth it. I didn't throw it away. That would have made it feel like a lie. And it wasn't. She had made it worth it, for a long time. But people change. So do fathers. Later that afternoon, I drove to a storage facility on the outskirts of town and rented a small unit. I unloaded the rest of my things there, my tools, photo albums, the cedar box my grandfather built. I could have stored them at a friend's place, but I didn't want to owe anyone. I wanted clean lines now. No blurred boundaries. No shared closets. I didn't text her. Didn't check the apartment camera. I didn't want to know if she'd come home to the silence yet. She needed to feel it. That night, I stayed with an old friend named Russell. A guy I knew from back when I fixed fences for a living. He offered me a beer, and I almost took it. Then I remembered, I haven't had a drink in 3 years. Not since the cardiologist looked at my numbers and said, "Another year like this and you won't see 70. Russell didn't press. He just cracked his own can and asked, "You okay?" "Getting there," I said. We sat in silence for a while, watching the game without caring who won. Before bed, I opened the locket. Inside was a photo of Emily, age 5, with pigtails and jelly on her chin. She was laughing. It hit me harder than I expected. I didn't cry. But I did close it slowly, like it was something sacred. And I put it back in my pocket, not because she'd want it. But because it still mattered. Even if she didn't. I went to sleep with that locket in my jeans, a yellow notepad on the nightstand, and no idea where I'd go next. But for the first time in a long time, that felt like a beginning. The sale happened faster than I expected. Miguel called me 2 days after I signed the listing papers, his voice brimming with professional excitement. "I've got a cash offer," he said. "Young couple. No contingencies. They want to move in by Friday." That was 3 days from now. I didn't hesitate. "Tell them yes." Miguel whistled into the phone. "Didn't think you'd want it over that quick." "I want it over," I said. That's the only timeline that matters. By noon, the papers were in my inbox. I signed again, digital pen flicking across clauses and disclosures like a man signing away someone else's life. Because in a way, that's exactly what I was doing. Emily's life, as she knew it, was built atop the illusion of permanence. She thought no matter how far she pushed, how sharp her tongue got, the foundation would hold. That I would hold. But every structure has a limit. And she'd mistaken support for servitude. I stopped by the apartment only once. Just to grab what was mine, really mine. Tools from the coat closet, a few books that still smelled like the back of my workshop, an old Afghan my mother had crocheted and left behind when she passed. I didn't linger. Didn't check her room. Didn't scan the space for signs of apology or absence. I'd left the cake in the fridge. The locket on the counter. And one envelope, sealed, with her name in block letters. My handwriting. Just 3 sentences inside. You said the best gift was for me to disappear. I'm granting that wish. This place isn't yours anymore. No threats. No explanations. Just closure. I left the key under the mat and texted Miguel, "It's ready." He sent me a photo of the buyers the next day. Smiling couple. Mid-20s. The kind of faces you only see on bank brochures and engagement announcements. They stood in the kitchen with their arms around each other, framed by the pale green cabinets I repainted 2 summers ago after Emily complained they looked like hospital food. I didn't feel bitter. I felt clean. The money hit my account within 24 hours. I transferred a portion into savings. The rest went into a new trust account, one that Emily didn't know existed. One that I would use when the time was right, for someone who still believed in the value of kindness. It was strange, that first morning after the sale, waking up with no address tied to her. No sense of obligation gnawing at the back of my mind like a hangnail. I made myself coffee, black, strong, and walked outside into Russell's backyard. The air smelled like rain on concrete, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a man living in someone else's house. Russell came out about an hour later, stretching and yawning like a man with nothing left to prove. "You're up early. Didn't sleep much. Nerves?" "No," I said. "Just rewiring." He nodded. "You figure out where you're going next?" I sipped my coffee and shrugged. "Not yet. But I'm not stuck anymore. That counts." Emily didn't call. Not that day. Not the next. Not the day after that. But on Friday, move-in day, I got a voicemail. I didn't recognize the number, but the second I heard the voice, I knew. "Dad?" She said, her tone confused, like she was trying to sound composed but couldn't quite locate the ground beneath her feet. "I just got back to the apartment. There's people here. They said they live here now." A beat of silence. "They had keys. They gave me your note. Is this real? I mean, did you really sell it? Without telling me?" Another pause. Her voice cracked. "Where are you?" I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because there was nothing else to say. She made her choice. She just never thought I'd believe her. By that evening, the text started. First calm, then frantic. Then angry. "This is insane. You can't do this to me. I'm your daughter. How could you leave me homeless? You're being vindictive." That one made me laugh. Vindictive would have been kicking her out while the police still had her in cuffs. Vindictive would have been dragging her across social media, airing out every late rent, every lie, every insult she thought I didn't hear. But I didn't do that. I gave her exactly what she said she wanted. The gift of my absence. Around midnight, she sent a final message, "You abandoned me." And maybe she believed that. Maybe she believed that walking away was the cruelest thing I could have done. But I hadn't abandoned her. I just stopped offering myself as a sacrifice. I set the phone down. Let the screen fade to black. And then I turned it off entirely. No dramatic block. No passive-aggressive silence. Just peace. A few days later, Russell's neighbor mentioned an open studio above his garage, private entrance, decent view, cheap rent. I checked it out, shook hands with the guy, and moved in the next morning. I hung one photo on the wall, me and Emily, age 6, both grinning, covered in paint from a home improvement project that went sideways. She was still mine then. And maybe someday, if she ever asks why I left, I'll show her that photo and say, because I missed that version of you. And I missed the man I was when you still saw me as something other than a target. But for now, the photo was for me. A reminder of who I was. And who I wouldn't be anymore. 3 days passed before she showed up. Miguel told me. He called mid-afternoon, just as I was sanding down the edge of an old bookshelf I'd found behind the garage. "She's here," he said. "Your daughter." My stomach didn't twist. My hands didn't shake. I just let out a slow breath and said, "Let the new owners handle it. She's not taking it well. I'm sure." He paused. "You sure you don't want me to step in?" "No," I said. "Let the house speak for itself." Later that night, I got the full story. She arrived mid-morning, hair in a loose bun, oversized hoodie, sunglasses pushed up like armor. A paper bag slung over her shoulder, probably everything she thought she'd need to grab real quick. Miguel said she didn't even knock. Just used her old key. It didn't fit. New lock. New number. She tried again. Fumbled. Cursed. Then knocked. A young woman answered the door. Smiled politely. "Can I help you?" Emily blinked. "This is my apartment." "No, it's ours," the woman said. "We just moved in Friday." Emily laughed. Sharp, confused. "This is my dad's place. He owns it." The woman shook her head. "Not anymore. Frank sold it. We bought it." "I'm sorry, you must be his daughter." Miguel said. Emily just stood there, silent, while the woman reached behind the door and brought out an envelope. The same one I'd left. My handwriting. My words. He said she read it. Laughed once, just once. Then didn't. She didn't raise her voice, Miguel told me later. Didn't fight. But she didn't cry either. Just stood there like she was waiting for someone to yell, "Gotcha." But there was no twist. No reveal. The hallway felt too quiet. Too bright. And for the first time in her life, there was no audience to perform for. She left with the paper bag still slung over her shoulder. It wasn't even zipped. The strap slid off twice before she gave up and carried it in her arms. I imagined the walk down that hallway. Same hallway she used to run down in socks, sliding around the corner to ask me what was for dinner. Now every step must have echoed. Hollow. Strange. Because that's what a home becomes when it no longer needs you. She didn't call that night. Or the night after. But on the third day, I got a voicemail. "Hey," she said. Voice small. Tired. "I went by the apartment. You weren't kidding." Silence. "I mean. I didn't think you were kidding. I just didn't think you'd actually do it. I thought you'd get mad. Disappear for a day or two. Then come back." Another pause. She sighed. "I keep checking the account, like maybe this is some kind of warning and you'll flip the switch back." Her breath caught. I heard it. That tiny hiccup in her chest she used to get before tears when she was 8. "I don't have anywhere to go." She hung up. And I didn't call back. Because that wasn't true. She had plenty of places to go. Friends. Co-workers. Couchsurfing apps. Job boards. The world is wide when you stop expecting it to kneel for you. That weekend, Russell found me out back, scraping paint off the old deck steps. I'd been at it for hours. Sweat soaked through my shirt. My hands ached. But I welcomed the ache. It made everything simpler. "You hear from her?" he asked. "Yeah." "What did she say?" "She's stunned. Lost." He gave a low whistle. "You okay?" I kept scraping. "I think so." "Think she learned anything?" I stopped. Looked at the patch of raw wood beneath my scraper. Not yet. But that silence. That echo when you walk into a place that used to be yours and find out it's someone else's now. I smiled. "That stays with you." He nodded. Sometimes silence teaches better than shouting ever could. That night, I made a steak. Not frozen. Not rushed. Seared just right. Ate it at the little table in the studio, door open, breeze moving the curtains. No TV. No music. Just a man and his food and the realization that this piece was mine. And I didn't owe it to anyone. I thought about the old apartment, about how much space I used to give her. About how I learned to walk on eggshells, to make myself small when she stormed in, all noise and need and fire. And how I used to tell myself, she's just young. She's still figuring it out. But then one day I realized she wasn't young anymore. She was comfortable. And there's a big difference between a mistake and a habit. Her habit was disrespect. Mine was staying. A few days later, she sent one more message. "I didn't expect you to stop loving me." I stared at it for a while. Then typed back. "I didn't. I stopped letting you weaponize it." She didn't reply. But that's okay. Because love isn't about enabling someone's worst self. It's about knowing when to stop making excuses for them, and start making room for yourself. She left me long before I walked away. I just finally caught up. The silence lasted 8 days. No texts. No calls. No messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Just stillness. I thought maybe she'd decided to figure things out. Maybe some sliver of pride kept her from reaching back out again. Maybe the shock of it all was enough to finally spark that fire of independence she'd always claimed to have. But then, on the 9th day, she showed up. Not at the apartment, she knew better. Not at Russell's place, she didn't know where that was. No. She found me at the cafe I used to go to on Wednesdays, back when life still ran on routine. It was mid-morning. I was nursing a black coffee and reading an article about energy-efficient insulation, something I'd been toying with for the studio. I felt her presence before I saw her. Like a pressure shift. Like something had bent the air around me. "Hey," she said. I looked up. She was standing in front of the table, hair knotted back, dark circles under her eyes. No makeup. No sunglasses. Just raw. Human. The version of her I hadn't seen in years. "Hi," I said. She didn't sit. "I've been trying to stay with Mark," she said. "You know. My boyfriend." I nodded. "The one who asked you to Venmo him for his birthday dinner?" She flinched. "Yeah. That one." I waited. She shifted on her feet, then sat across from me, arms folded on the table like she was bracing herself for a storm. "He let me crash for 3 nights. Then he said he needed less drama in his space." Her voice cracked. "He gave me a blanket and told me to figure it out." I didn't say anything. "And my friends," she paused, then let out a humorless laugh. "They all have reasons. Birthdays. Family in town. Tiny apartments. Allergic to responsibility, I guess." Still, I stayed quiet. She leaned forward. "I'm not asking to move in. I just want to know why. Why you actually did it. Sold the apartment. Cut me off. Like I'm nothing." I looked her in the eye. "Because you told me I was suffocating you. You told a room full of people that the best gift I could give you was to disappear. So I did. I gave you what you wanted. I didn't mean it, she said. It was a joke. A stupid drunk joke. I shook my head. It wasn't just the joke. It was everything that came before. Everything that followed. You didn't apologize when I walked out. You didn't call the next day. You doubled down. And now that the floor's dropped out, you're asking for a cushion. I'm asking for my father. Her voice rose, trembling. No, I said gently. You're asking for a wallet. A house. A doormat. I've played all those roles. I'm not playing them anymore. She blinked fast, trying not to cry. The server approached. I waved her off without a word. Emily swallowed. So that's it? You're just done. No. I'm not done. I'm different. I'm not enabling you anymore. That's not love. That's codependence. I'm homeless. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small envelope. Slid it across the table. What's this? She asked. A prepaid card. Enough for one night at a hostel. And an address. She opened it. Read the card. The job center, she said flatly. I nodded. You want to stay for dinner tomorrow? Show me proof you went. Her face twisted. That's cruel. No, I said. That's structure. That's what life looks like when you don't have someone cleaning up after you. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. And maybe she didn't. Because this wasn't the dad who dropped everything to run groceries across town when she was hungover. This wasn't the man who made rent payments vanish, who sat outside her therapist's office so she'd feel supported, who bailed her out of one toxic friendship after another. This was the version of me that should have arrived years ago. I don't even know where to start, she said quietly. That's why I gave you a place to start. She picked up the envelope. Tucked it into her sleeve. I don't want to be a charity case, she muttered. You're not. Charity is giving someone something they didn't earn. This is an opportunity. And if I don't show up tomorrow? I shrugged. Then I eat alone. The silence between us stretched. Her fingers tapped on the envelope. I miss Mom, she said, out of nowhere. I know, I said. So do I. She wouldn't have done this. She also wouldn't have let you become this entitled. But she's not here to say that. I am. The words landed like a slap. But she didn't walk away. That was new. She stood slowly, slipped the envelope deeper into her coat. I'll see you tomorrow, she said. I didn't smile. Just nodded. And as she walked out the door, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Not fear. Not shame. Something smaller. Hungrier. Accountability. She showed up 23 minutes late. I said noon. She walked into the cafe at 12:23 p.m. Same battered coat, hair unbrushed, exhaustion sitting heavy on her like a second skin. But she came, and that, at least, meant something. She dropped into the seat across from me and didn't speak at first. Just slid a folded sheet of paper across the table like a white flag. It was creased at the edges and soft from overhandling. I unfolded it slowly. A stamped attendance form from the job center. Her signature. Date and time. 9:56 a.m. You went, I said. She nodded. Did the walk-in interview too? Warehouse over in Oakbrook. Night shift. They're supposed to call. I didn't smile, but I nodded. Good. She sat back, arms crossed, like she was waiting to be scolded or applauded, either one, as long as she didn't have to feel whatever she was feeling. I didn't come here to beg, she said suddenly. Good, I said again. Because begging doesn't build anything. I'm not proud of where I'm at, okay? You don't have to be proud yet. You just have to be honest. Her shoulders dropped, just slightly. The tension didn't vanish, but something inside her deflated. Not defeated, just disarmed. The waitress came by. She ordered a coffee and toast. I added soup to the order without asking. She didn't protest. I'm crashing at a hostel near the train station, she said after a while. First night was rough. I didn't sleep much. The woman in the next bunk cried in her sleep. No idea why. I didn't say anything. She wasn't asking for sympathy. She was explaining. She sipped her coffee and stared out the window. I thought I'd hate it. I do, a little. But also. I don't know. There's something about earning the bed you sleep in. I studied her. Same face I'd watched grow for 28 years, but now she looked older. Not in a worn-down way. In a real way. I reached into my coat pocket and slid a new envelope across the table. What's this? She asked, not reaching for it. Enough to get you through the next week. Same hostel, same rules. Plus a flyer. She pulled the flyer out, employment prep. Resume building. Mock interviews. Day shift stuff, she said. You're not going to be stacking boxes forever. Better to be ready before you need to be. She looked down at the card. Feels like a deal. It is. What's the catch? Keep showing up. One missed day without a reason, the support stops. She stared at the card a second longer, then tucked it into her jacket. Okay. That's all she said. No sarcasm. No manipulation. Just okay. The food came. She ate slowly, methodically. Finished every bite. I remembered when she used to peel the crusts off grilled cheese sandwiches and make me eat them. Now, she didn't waste a single crumb. You're really not letting me move in? She asked. No. Even if I keep this up. Not yet. She didn't push. Didn't whine. Just accepted it. Why? She asked. Because this isn't about punishment. It's about growth. And growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. She nodded. Besides, I added, I don't think either of us is ready to live together again. There's too much history in the walls. She managed a small laugh. Yeah. Probably right. She picked up her phone, tapped around, then turned it to show me a screenshot, her shift schedule, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 5 nights a week. You're going to be exhausted, I said. I already am. Good. She blinked. Good. Exhaustion from progress is the kind you can build on. She leaned back in the chair and stared at the ceiling. I can't believe how many people stopped answering when I asked for help. You burned a lot of bridges. I thought they'd stay lit longer. They usually don't. Her voice dropped. I thought you would. I met her eyes. I did. Longer than I should have. She didn't argue. That said more than any apology. When we parted, she didn't ask for a hug. She just stood, hands in her pockets, and said, "Thanks for lunch." You're welcome. The next morning, I got a grainy selfie, her in a neon vest, standing next to a forklift. Her hair was pulled back tight, face blotchy from cold or tears, I couldn't tell. The caption said, "Clocked in. Didn't run." Later that day, shift sucked. But I made it. Still alive. Day 3, still not dead. Got asked to stay late. Said yes. Each message was short, clipped. But they were proof. Proof of effort. Proof of momentum. I responded the same way every time, keep going. On the 5th day, she texted, "They offered me weekends too. Extra pay." I transferred another deposit into Lily's trust. Not because Emily asked. Not because she knew. But because the pattern had shifted. She was starting to care about more than herself. And that was enough for now. Late that night, she messaged one last time, "If I keep going, could we maybe have dinner next weekend? Just us. No agenda." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed, "Yes. If you keep going." She replied, "Deal." It started with the selfies. Every day like clockwork, a new one arrived. Her face flushed under harsh warehouse lights, always in that oversized neon vest, hair tucked into a messy bun or crammed under a knit beanie. Some mornings she looked wiped, others weirdly energized, like fatigue had turned into momentum. Clocked in. Again. My boots are talking to me. I think they hate me. I lifted 94 boxes today. Yes, I counted. My arms don't work anymore. Still showing up. Just so you know. She wasn't looking for praise. She just wanted me to see it. After the first week, I started responding with more than just, "Keep going." One message at a time, I let the walls down. Told her I was proud. Told her I remembered the last time she'd worked that hard, it was sophomore year, during dance rehearsals, before she quit halfway through because she didn't get the solo. That memory stung us both, but it reminded her of something important: she used to try. And now, she was again. By week 2, she was using her paychecks, small, but real. She stopped asking for help entirely. Bought her own socks, her own toiletries, even grabbed a cheap second-hand backpack for her work clothes. No requests, no hints. Just quiet independence, stacked brick by brick. I didn't say much about it. I didn't have to. Growth doesn't need commentary. Just space. That Friday, she texted around 2 p.m. "Met with a temp agency this morning. They said they could place me in admin work if I finished their training course." "Good," I replied. "Stack your options. I want out of the warehouse eventually. My back isn't made for forklifts. Then build the bridge now." That night, she sent me a picture of her dinner: scrambled eggs, toast, and a dented apple. "Gourmet," she wrote. I laughed out loud. She followed it with, "I didn't ask for anything today. Not even from God. Just made my own damn dinner." I replied, "That matters." Then came Saturday. We'd agreed to meet for lunch at that old diner we used to go to, the one with the faded red booths and cracked menus laminated sometime during the Reagan administration. She was on time this time. 5 minutes early, actually. I was already waiting when she walked in. She looked different. Not polished. Not perfect. But grounded. Her hair was brushed, face clean, hoodie swapped for a plain long sleeve and jeans that actually fit. There was still tiredness under her eyes, but not the kind that comes from giving up. The kind that comes from climbing back up. "Hey," she said. "Hey," I answered. She slid into the booth, smiled faintly. "It feels weird being here again. It's the same place." "I'm not," she said. We ordered burgers, fries, coffee for both of us. She didn't even ask for sugar this time, just drank it black, face twitching at the bitterness but not complaining. "So," I asked, "what's next?" She pulled a folded paper from her coat pocket and laid it on the table. The temp agency schedule. 4 weeks of clerical training. Resume prep, typing skills, even customer service modules. If I finish it and don't screw up, they said they'll place me somewhere. Not glamorous. But indoors. Consistent. I read the sheet, then nodded. "You thinking of quitting the warehouse?" "Not yet," she said. But I want a path. I'm tired of just surviving. That was new. That was big. I didn't say anything for a minute. I just sat there, watching her fidget with the straw wrapper, twisting it into knots. "Do you think I'll ever earn your full trust again?" she asked, so suddenly it knocked the air out of me. I leaned back. "Do you want honesty?" "Always." "No," I said. "Not the trust one used to give you. That trust was blind. That version of me is gone." She nodded, slow, absorbing it. "But you can earn a better kind of trust," I added. "One that sees you. One that believes in you because you've earned it, not because I closed my eyes and hoped for the best." She looked up. "Is that what this has all been about?" "No. This is about letting you build your own foundation. Not one I made for you. One that can stand even if I'm not around." The waitress brought the food. We both dug in. It was quiet for a while, but not tense. Just full. "Halfway through," she said, "I visited Mom's grave last week. I set my burger down. She always believed in me," she continued. "Even when I didn't deserve it. I think I took that belief and twisted it. Turned it into a crutch." "She wanted you to believe in yourself," I said. "Not to depend on hers. I know that now." She wiped her hands on a napkin and pulled something else from her pocket. A photo, folded, soft-edged. It was her and Lily at a park. Her daughter was on the swings, mouth wide open in a mid-laugh. Emily was behind her, hands up, mid-push. "I want her to have a version of me she can brag about," she said. "Not hide. You're on the right road." She put the photo away, eyes shining but no tears. "Do you think I'll ever be a good mom?" she asked. I didn't hesitate. "You already are." That broke something in her. Just a crack. A full breath. A softening I hadn't seen in years. She didn't cry, but she smiled with her whole face. Like a weight she hadn't named had finally started to lift. We split the check. As we walked out, she stopped beside me. "I'm not asking to move in. I don't even want anything. I just want you to know. I'm not faking it this time." "I know," I said. "You're walking. That's enough." She squeezed my shoulder. "Thanks for not rescuing me. Thanks for not expecting it." We parted on the sidewalk. She walked one way, I walked the other. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't look over my shoulder. Because I didn't have to. 3 weeks passed without a single ask. No surprise texts. No, "Hey, can I borrow," messages. Just short, steady updates, a photo of her class at the temp agency, a blurry shot of her new ID badge, occasional check-ins that sounded less like obligations and more like someone learning how to be present again. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I got a text that stopped me in my tracks. "Emergency contact." That was the entire message. Just those 2 words. I didn't respond right away, unsure what she meant. 2 minutes later, another came through. "They need one for the new job. I wrote your name." I stared at my phone for a long while. Not because I didn't want to be that name, but because I hadn't realized how long it had been since she'd needed me for something real. Not a bailout. Not a shortcut. Just presence. Trust. A line on a form that meant, "If I fall, I want you to be the one who hears first." I typed back slowly. "You sure?" "Yeah," she replied. "Not because I need money. Just because I need you to know I'm still trying." That night, I sat in my tiny kitchen, lights off, holding my phone like it was something sacred. There was no pride swelling in my chest. No movie score playing in my head. Just a deep, grounded calm. This wasn't redemption. It wasn't even reconciliation. It was the beginning of a relationship that neither of us had ever actually known how to have. She texted again the next day, "I'm thinking about getting my GED." I didn't answer right away. Didn't want to overload her effort with validation. But eventually, I wrote, "If you register, I'll pay the test fee. No strings." She responded with a thumbs up emoji and then, "Deal." 2 days later, she called. A real call. Not a voicemail. I was walking home from the store, bag of groceries in one hand, cold wind gnawing at my ears. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Her voice was soft. "I wanted to hear your voice," she said. "I'm here," I replied. "What's going on?" "I had a rough night. Work drama. Nothing serious. Just one of those shifts where everything breaks and no one listens and your back feels like it's about to snap. I remember those. You ever feel like quitting?" "Plenty." "So why didn't you?" "Because I knew what quitting looked like. And I was tired of seeing it." There was silence on her end. But it was warm silence, not sharp. "I'm not going to quit either," she said. "I don't want Lily growing up thinking her mom couldn't finish anything. That's why you'll finish." That weekend, she brought Lily to the park. It was chilly, the kind of spring afternoon that hadn't made up its mind yet, gray clouds playing tag with weak sunlight. I sat on a bench, thermos of coffee in one hand, watching them from a distance. Emily didn't hover like she used to. She let Lily run. Let her fall once, even. Then helped her up without making a scene. There was something steadier in the way she moved. Something less performative. Less brittle. After an hour, they came over. "Hi, Grandpa," Lily said, climbing into my lap like she still fit there. I hugged her close. "You keeping your mom in line?" "She yells at cereal boxes," Lily whispered like it was a state secret. Emily rolled her eyes. "Only the ones that lie about portion sizes." We laughed. It wasn't the big moment. Not the crescendo. But it didn't need to be. It was just life. Regular, untangled, unforced. Afterward, Emily helped Lily into her coat and turned to me. "I'm not asking to move in," she said again. "I didn't assume. But I am asking if you'd be okay with us doing this more often. This life. Gradually. Together. Without the history holding it hostage." I looked at her for a long second. And then I said the truest thing I could. "I'm not a shield anymore. I'm not a wallet. I'm not a band-aid for your mistakes." She nodded. "I know. But I am your father. And this, what we're doing now. This is who I should have been all along." She stepped forward and hugged me, not out of guilt or desperation, but because she meant it. And I hugged her back. It didn't erase everything. It didn't have to. That night, I opened Lily's trust account again and adjusted the beneficiary clause. It had been just me, allocating support to her directly. But now, I added Emily, not as a co-owner, but as a conditional custodian. A note in the file, access unlocked upon GED completion and 2 years of employment history. She'd never know the details unless she asked. But I needed it written somewhere, that belief had returned, not blindly, but built on proof. A new kind of trust. A new kind of father.